Okay, we're live and feeling alive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this crowdfunding fundraiser for 4% The Experiment, the documentary. We are all here again today to come together and support the expansion of this human design knowledge throughout the globe. And so I want to take a moment and have a special thank you to Selene Parman for bringing us all together yet again in this live and with this documentary. You have made the human design community, you have brought this global community into a really close tight-knit tribe, and you have done so with the Ra's original teachers, and now with the teachers who are taking this experiment into the body a bit deeper. And so you've just brought us all together in such a beautiful way. So for that, I want to thank you, and maybe have you say hello to everyone watching and introduce yourself and your design.
I'm Selen Parman, 3-5 splenic manifestor, cross of tension 3, and I'm quad left. Yeah, in a nutshell, this is what I am. I'm in the experiment since almost 6 years. So I'm a newcomer, and it's inspired me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this creation, this birthing that you are in the process of showing to the world has been so valuable to all of us. Each of us have played our little role or had our little experience with you and this creation. And so I just want to appreciate and recognize your manifestor impact here in the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
And so we are all here today. Hopefully we all look familiar, that maybe you've seen somebody here in the screen that you have seen out in the social media world, or even, dare I say, the live world, sharing human design, being with this experiment and learning together how to tune into the wisdom of our bodies. And so we are here today. Selene brought everybody together just a couple of weeks ago with Jonah and a lot of us as well, to really talk about the foundation, the roots, how human design has impacted these lives in such a powerful way. And so now today, Selene has invited us all here to really talk about what happens when the rubber has met the road. You know, what is it like to take this knowledge into the body, to live every step, waiting, responding, impacting, guiding in every moment? What is it like when that knowledge meets up against your conditioning? And how has this ability to do that improved, or at least brought more awareness into our lives, more surrender, more easy breaths? And so the people that Selene have invited here today and that we are all kind of commiserating with are all people who are in the practice of doing this every single day. And so we thought we'd come together and we'd share maybe a story or an anecdote about what it has been like to be in your experiment as this embodiment experimenter. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much for being interested in supporting this documentary, in supporting this Kickstarter campaign. Crowdfunding is the way to bring anything to life. And we have been crowdfunding this experiment, this human design knowledge for a long time, all of us contributing our wisdom into this funding. And now it's time to really put our resources together. And if it's $1, if it's $50,000, all of it will go toward creating a beautiful imprint into the fractal that is here to hear human design. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I just want to echo, hello, my name is Richard Corbett, for those of you who I don't know personally. It's so lovely to see you all, and to echo what Brandy's sharing. We really appreciate Selene starting this, bringing us all together, and we were feeling into this idea of the next step, the next the way human design has grown, right? We've taken a look at the foundation in the last live. And today we brought a lot of teachers that we're calling sort of second generation. You know, the idea being that so many people here learned from the foundational teachers that Ra taught personally, and we have all benefited from their years of experience and wisdom. And now we're sort of in a new frontier. Human design is becoming ubiquitous across the globe. It's very unusual to meet someone today who hasn't heard of it. And I remember years ago that was not the case. I remember the lonely days when they're before the internet, before we could get on the phone or the computer and communicate about this incredible, vast knowledge and integrate it into our lives. And so to see it so global now, it's just incredible. So thank you, everyone that's here. Thank you for your efforts towards this project with Celine and the contributions. As Brandy said, every little bit makes a difference. If human design has impacted your life and you'd like to give back a little, this is the place to do it. Bringing this knowledge to the globe and the world is such a worthy cause. So thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Richard. Well, so we would love to introduce you to these beautiful faces, to hear these stories of embodiment and of empowerment that human design has brought into your life. And so, Jess, who is first? Oh, I see here, maybe. Okay, Pavaka. Dear manifestor sister, hello, welcome, welcome.
Hey, hi everyone. So glad to be here tonight. Thank you, Celine. Thank you, Brandy and Richard and everybody else here. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
We
that
have
was a start, right?
huh?
We always got to start.
We do, we do. You have been in this experiment for a while now, and we have been traveling on either sides of the globe in this sisterhood of embodiment of this wisdom, you holding your arc and me holding mine. And so I wonder what you would love to share with everyone about this process that you have become so entwined in the tapestry of.
Well, first of all, I'm resting. I have been resting today. Well, it's late night for me in Israel, but I've been resting today after 3 days of immersion with 30 beautiful souls here in Israel. And Richard, I mean, it was to the point what you said. I remember 13 years ago when I went into human design, I had no one to talk to about it. I knew no manifestors around. It felt so lonely. I had this, one friend that got me into human design. She was an amazing projector, and it was the only person I could talk to actually about this. And I'm going to share a little bit what happened, but I was sitting with this big group this 3 days. And this happens so much now, right? I mean, we get along, we just come together in the rave festival, in those talks for the 4% documentary, in retreats, and it's just such an abundance of, sitting together and sharing this. And so this has been a very big change in my life that, just basically everyone that I communicate with is human design people. I do not have no people in my life that that are not, into human design. But yeah, in the beginning it was very mutative, and it wasn't an easy mutation. It practically broke all the patterns of my life. And when I went into human design, I was already a spiritual teacher for many years. I've been seeking since a very early age. And so I was in this, I call this the spiritual matrix. So I had to break the spiritual matrix after being in a quite comfortable place, but feeling almost, this feeling of almost. And human design came, and there was this this accuracy in that sentence that I heard Ross saying, don't listen to your mind when it tells you what to do. And that was a big key for me because I've been working with the mind for years, you know, doing Byron Katie and meditating for hours. And it just hit me. And I took it into my life really radically. I really stopped listening to my mind and started waiting. And I thought I would go crazy because waiting was really hard. But it totally transformed my life. It transformed all my relationships. It transformed what I'm doing in life. I mean, human design became, after a while, became my everything, actually. I mean, it started for me living this, but then just the impact, people starting to ask questions and wanting me to tell them what this is, and then doing the LYD guide, starting to teach, and opening this here in Israel, opening it very widely. So now, you know, everybody knows what human design is here, at least in the, you know, in the seeking community, or, you know, people that are not the mainstream. And yeah, so it's kind of hard to say, because the person that I was when I went into this experiment, it's not even, I mean, it's a totally different, you know, life. It's like dying and being reborn. So what can I say? If you have any specific kind of, you know, informing what you would like to hear, then it would be easier because it's so broad.
Well, I think what you shared is beautiful, and it is broad because there isn't a pinpointing type of language we can put on it. It is the expansion of feeling ourselves, and that is languaged differently by everybody. So I think the way you said it is beautiful. And I appreciate you bringing, you know, staying with it when you didn't have anyone to be with, you know, and be, you know, those 40 days and nights. You know, it doesn't matter what practice we connect with. There is a thematic, a mythology of those dark nights that we experience. And then the coming out of that through the embodiment of this wisdom, that is what, you know, we see in you. So thank you.
Well, for me, it was truth from the very beginning. So even when it was hard, it was like I was the silence in the eye of the storm. You know, there was a storm, and I was just the silence, and I did not care. I could care less. I was gonna be myself totally, you know, and this is what I've been waiting for lifetimes, it seems. I mean, for me, human design brought me to that space that I knew before, but to live it, you know, to really be that consciousness without, you know, without moving from it. And it's a process, but, you know, staying with my strategy and waiting, really waiting for clarity and letting the universe move me, and informing, really experimenting with informing. Informing became, you know, the way I speak. And so there wasn't even a question. It's like, you know, Ross says, there's no choice. That's that's how it felt. It was just this. And yeah.
Beautiful. Well, if there was one thing that there was someone that was listening that didn't really, you know, had heard of human design, of course, because it's the buzzword, but doesn't really have it in their body yet, wants to really see the flourishing of this wisdom happen. And what tip could you give them? What one embodiment of wisdom have you learned in your journey here with yourself and with many others?
Well, since I'm emotional, I'm an emotional being, then I would address my emotional brothers and sisters. And actually, this is for everyone. For me, this was one of the most important things I've ever learned in life, was to really be anchored in my solar plexus, meaning really imagining, I call it my solar plexus brain. Yeah. So when I went into human design and I realized that emotions were not, you know, what I thought I was feeling, but it's the sensations in the body, in the solar plexus, and that wave of energy that can just be, you know, crying, or it can be, feeling this, there's this, we can call it agitated, or we can call it excited, but it's just a frequency. And I knew it so well, but I was never focusing on it, because only human design came and said, well, this is your inner authority. And really remembering, don't believe mind story about your emotions. And I think this is for everyone, but for emotional people, and it's a practice. I want to say that, if you really want to embody human design, it's a practice. Not listening to your mind when it tells you what to do. It's a practice, and not believing mind when it tells stories about your emotions. So I would watch and then see myself going into a story, about my husband, and he's a generator, and he's this and that. And I think maybe, I should leave him because it's not working out. And this was basically 90% of what was going in my thoughts when I went into human design. And just noticing that story and saying, stop, it's just the story. And taking my awareness down into my solar plexus, like really imagining, okay, I'm sitting there, and what's it like? What does it feel like? And then this, the energy coming down. And this is for everyone, because in this mental world, the energy constantly comes up, and we're wasting all this energy. Recording stopped. And most of the people, I mean, we all have, not all of us, but most of us have motors, and the energy is drained. But when we stop listening to the story, the energy goes down and the power comes back. We come back home. So for me, it was the emotions, but for someone else, it's going to be the root, or the spleen, or the sacral, or whatever it is. And so not believing the story, really anchoring in inner authority, and anchoring, where definition is, that it's in the body, and taking the words off, taking the words off things. So for me, it was with emotions. I was feeling my solar plexus, and then, a word would come up. Oh yeah, I'm sad. And I would say, well, what if you didn't call it sad,
Right.
and just go deeper, just go into being that. And it changed my life. I mean, it changed my relationship with my emotions, which are my authority. And it changed my relationship with my mind, and then with the people around me, because it's all interconnected. So that is something that I would say is a major key, was for me, and I think is for everyone.
It
So
is.
that's a
Oh,
key.
absolutely, Babaka. Thank you so much for sharing that. It was so stimulating being a fellow emotional being, inner truth coming from the feelings. And what I could really hear that I resonate with so much is that feeling of trust. This trust in ourself, where prior to human design, I know for me, it was about trying to find an external reference point of who I was and comparing and figuring out what that all meant. But this really brought me inward with a similar process that you have, just observing these feelings, watching them move up and down and all around, and knowing that with time and patience, that physical clarity really developed personal trust in myself and my ability to navigate life and be comfortable in my skin, regardless of the external circumstances. And I could hear that in your voice as well. Thank you so much for starting
Yeah.
us such a beautiful contemplation.
Yeah, thank you. Trust, yeah. And it's trust in life in the end. I mean, we are life. So for me, it goes beyond trusting myself, because it's just, well, emotional being. I think it's for everyone, but emotional beings, when we allow that, we just go into the unknown, and then, trust just becomes a way of life. No, that's beautiful what you said.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, human design helps trust find us. I love that. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Pavaka.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, looks like Sonia is next. Hello, Sonia.
Hi there.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Hi from Amsterdam.
Oh, from Amsterdam. Welcome. I love your spiral necklace. That's beautiful. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, here in this space in your body, after taking human design from this intellectual body of knowledge into the lived experience of your life, tell us what that has brought into your life and maybe a story about that. Do you feel too?
Yes, great. Nice question. I'm a 3-5 generator, emotional. So I related a lot to what Pravaka was saying about the emotions. And in my design, they're nearly completely unconscious. So when I met design, I didn't think of myself as an emotional being. I really related more to the conscious side of me, which is like splenic and a fast thinker. And it was really a wake-up call for me. Getting to know my human design, it's already 15 years ago. I think that was the biggest wake up for myself, getting in touch with my emotional process. And how do you do that when it's unconscious? You know, you come to realize it when you meet people, and it starts to surface, or you suddenly notice a nervousness in your body, or an uneasiness. And I've learned over the years to recognize those things as the alarm bells of like, well, let's wait, let's not get into things. And I truly can say that before human design, I think I was 36, 37 when it came to me, the human design system. And before that, it was pretty chaotic in my life. It was pretty messy, and I didn't understand why. So that was, I think, for myself, a big learning. Plus, at the time, I was freshly new into motherhood. And, becoming a mother is already like a huge transformation in a person's life. But I was running literally into frustration at the time. I think my son was 2 years old, and he was all over the place. And I just didn't know what to do. And I noticed that a lot of the, prefabricated thoughts, how I thought I was supposed to be a mother, they were supposed to work, but they didn't work. And I was literally like banging my foot against a wall, being so frustrated. Why am I, what am I doing wrong? And it was at that moment that I think I was just sitting on the couch that human design came to me. It just landed on my laptop. And I was initiated into human design by Guido. He was here on the last get together. He was the first manifester in Amsterdam to bring the human design system. So as a good generator, I followed and I kept responding, and I thought like, wow, this is the system that's going to give me practical advice with, life. I was into astrology before that, into Mayan astrology, but I was looking for practical answers, how to be a mom, how to get this to work. And from that point on, it kept unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine my life without human design. It's taught me so much about people, and understanding how we are different, understanding what somebody else needs. It's a huge difference in my life. Yeah.
How wonderful to be able to be a young mother and be able to put down every bad, wrong, and shameful thing through this practicing of respecting your body and respecting theirs. It's like a user manual almost, just by allowing them to exist as their magnificent self because you're allowing yourself to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. So, if there was something that you could share with a person that was considering maybe donating to this campaign and that would bring them over to the edge to say, yes, this is a worthy cause. This is something that this awareness is powerful and impactful and valuable for our communities, what would you say?
I think it's so important this movie gets out because times are changing and we can't rely on anything actually anymore, you know, from what our parents have taught us to what the government says, and things are going to be changing, and the only thing that we have to turn to is ourselves. And human design is the system to bring us back to the trust in feeling for ourselves what we need to do now. And to get this out to some as many possible people is I think gold. So yeah.
Oh, we do too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia. And as you were sharing too, I was really appreciating the part about communication with your children, with others, knowing how to elevate and support our loved ones through effective communication. I always have felt as one of the most beneficial tools that human design offers. And so I agree. If this has helped anyone in their life, then we want to help others know. And that when we look at the globe and the turmoil, the polarization, the transformation that we're going through as a global community, this is a tool that can guide us and help us each navigate not only into ourselves, but how we can communicate and relate to the others. And boy, do we need that right now. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Exactly. Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Thank you, Sonia, again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, now we have Ion. I hope I to be saying that correctly.
No
Hello.
worries. Hi, nice to meet you.
How
Nice
do
to
I
see
say-
you all.
Hi, hello.
Welcome.
Everybody says my name wrong the first time. It's okay.
Okay, tell me now.
It's just E1, you know, like
Ewan.
the robot E1.
Well, welcome, Ewan. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
this fundraiser, and thank you for being here. You want to take this question today?
Well, I'm loving the theme of the question, which
Yeah.
is, you know, we're trying to get the word out about this incredibly important and valuable project that takes resources. It takes us coming together. And if there's people listening right now that are still a little unfamiliar with human design, or they're still sort of testing out what they hear, could you share something about your experience with this tool and how it's impacted your life or what it's brought to you in your life?
Yeah, so much easiness, you know. When I heard that I'm a projector, everything made sense, you know. I realized how much I was pushing and how easy it was when I surrendered, and I realized why it never worked when I pushed. I realized why girls didn't like me when I chased them. I realized why I didn't have good jobs when I chased them. So it really made sense, you know, and I was planning projector 3-5. So it took some bumping into things and realizing what it is to surrender, you know, because, well, we are conditioned like men. Men have to do, men have to, you know, go and get it. And it was so difficult before human design. So difficult not to, you know, not to go get it, you know. So that helped me a lot, actually, to really see that I don't really have to do anything. You know, people told me always, you're such a cock, you know, you are such an arrogant guy. And I was, me? No, I'm not arrogant. I'm, you know, never arrogant. But then I started to, you know, thank them because I realized they were right. I was wrong. It was good to me to be in my ego and to respect my willpower and never, you know, to make promises when there was no energy there. So such a relief to realize that, you know, you can trust your power even when you don't know how it will happen. That was amazing for me. So, and then I realized also how much it can help people. You know, when I translated this human design book, the differentiation book, there was not really much in Romania about human design. But now there are a lot of people. Human design is getting is getting popular. So I'm so glad about it, you know. And it's not as if I had something to do. It's just everything just unfolded, you know. So I'm so
Well,
glad for that.
oh, thank you so much. Well, we're all contributing just by being ourselves in that regard. But I really appreciate you bringing forward how it brought you your sense of power as a projector. There's such a different perspective, and I agree with you how we're, especially men, we're taught to go out and make life happen. The harder you work, the better it gets, and so forth. All this dogma and conditioning of the world out there, and yet through this information, you settled into your power, those acute observational skills of a projector, to have almost a supernatural awareness of seeing efficiency and how to support living systems and to relax, as you said, to not have to do anything. It's already there. Really, really enjoy hearing what you shared there about the power of a projector.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the theme that keeps coming out. We keep hearing it with everyone that's sharing, is that perception is the only choice, and that trust can be found when we surrender to the ride, is really what I heard you again echo, and how beautiful and nurturing that truth is to hear from all of us. So thank you. Thank you, Iwan.
You are welcome. Yeah. Thank you for being here and for doing this, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Next is Mark. Dear Mark Germain, where's my friend?
1 second. Hi, how's it going?
Hi, Mark.
Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you guys. Been a little bit. Miss you guys.
It has.
How you been? Doing good.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, welcome here. Thank you for being here.
No choice, Brandy.
No choice, no choice. I would love to invite you to share what's alive in you to the people that are listening and watching and hoping to be able to donate a little bit to this project. How has the embodiment of this wisdom, you've been experimenting a long time, and so what's it like to live in the body of you? And what is the greatest thing that you could give somebody listening that would just have them come over the edge to, yes, I want to help this project?
Well, you might have to come back to the second part.
Okay.
Just, what was the first part? You know, what's an interesting thing, I'm a 3-5 right-minded splenic projector. And been doing this, I'm well into my 19th plus years. And one of the things I've really become more acutely aware of in this process is that it is a process. You know, as a conditioned adult coming to this information, it's not like we raised correctly from birth. Otherwise, all of us wouldn't even be in this room. And for some of us, it would be impossible since this knowledge wasn't available, you know, for that to be even a chance of happening. But I think it's the process of, you know, it really is like reconciling your past. When I first learned this information, and it was the reading itself that I got was my introduction to human design. And it was also by the teacher who initiated me into my mystical intuitive life. And so it really reconciled my past and made sense of things. And yes, there was tears and things over time, but then you learn to laugh at yourself more. And you can understand why, because there's no one to blame. You can forgive yourself, but there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forgive because there's no bad or good or right or wrong in any of this. And I think over time that becomes more clear that it's the more time, and I'm closing my eyes because that's part of my design. And it just becomes clear that this process moves us, at least for me, where I become more the passenger, more the witness to the life. I'm more fully surrendered to the life. Like Ewan was noting, and I feel the same way too. I'm hooked up to be this not self-manifest or a super slave generator, and you just have to make it happen. And as this right-minded projector, it's not about any of that. And then over time, it's just sinking into the truth of who you really are. And then it doesn't matter what anyone else says, does, or thinks. You just get the chance to be you. And I think that is where, is the gift of design. You really get the opportunity to experience your true self, or as close to it as we can get, right? It's not going to be perfect. But we can get to that place where we can see, what our shadow brings or what our authenticity brings. And it's not like we're never going to have those shadow moments. It's not about that, or those not self thoughts that you hear about in human design. It's not about that. It's about understanding what you're seeing and doing and seeing the life unfold correctly as yourself. And I think it's really about taking that back seat and that foundation of design, of where there's the vehicle, the driver, and the passenger. And once you really get to the point where you can get in that back seat and enjoy the ride, it makes all the difference. Now to get there, well, that could be a process, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I wouldn't go back and change it at all. It's kind of like the Matrix movie, where you take the pill and Neo's like, he's sold, he's in now. But then there was Cypher, who was like, he's talking to Agent Smith and he's like, I don't want any part of this. I want to go back, plug me back in the Matrix. To me, there's no choice, right? So it's like, I just living out my life and I'm surrendered to it. I'm not trying to make things happen. I'm not trying to do. And there's an expression Ra always used, when you really get to the core of it and really understand its essence, it's beautiful. It's that Druid quote he would say, do without doing and everything gets done.
Mm-hmm. The art of Wu Wei. It is, I practice regularly.
Yeah, you just operate and you watch yourself doing it. Sometimes I'm like, interesting watching what I'm doing. I didn't even know if I was going to be here on this call or not. And all of a sudden I'm on it, and I'm like, I don't know how long I'll be on. It's like, I'm just watching it myself. I'm along with everybody else. I don't know. And that's another thing that the world always wants to know. Everyone wants to have a reason. Everyone wants to know a reason. And sometimes there's no reason. There's no need for a reason. There's no need for an explanation. It's just what it is. And when you get to that place, it's a beautiful thing. It is a process. There's these 7-year cycles. I think with each 7-year cycle, it just refines more and more. The first 7 years, you're cleaning out a lot of stuff. All that conditioning. Not like you get rid of it all, but you get a good blast of it out of there. And then with every cycle afterwards, you just become more you. That's the potential, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're all born with a design potential. Everyone has a projector, generator, manifestor, reflector, design. but do we actually get to experience it really? And this is how, if you do this experiment, you're in this experiment, this is how you get to be yourself and know that it's really your truth. Because a lot of people say, I'm living my truth. And I always say, how do you know? You know, how do you know? Because there's a lot of people who are living mostly inauthentically who say that I'm living my truth. And they're coming from mind and all that stuff. And it's okay. There's no blame there. That's the world we live in. This gives a way of connecting to the form, to become the observer, the witness, the passenger, and to see the life unfold through one's authority or through one's mind. But you get to see it. And that's the beauty. It's in the seeing too, in experiencing them. And so for anybody who wants to get into this and feels compelled, well, you probably have no choice. You'll be in it. It will just pull you in. You know, it just pulled me in. I was, because I was speaking a lot of design before design. And when I heard Ross speak first, I was like, oh my God, this is the same stuff I've been talking about, but he made it into language and a system. This is beautiful. So impactful. I'm so blessed to have this opportunity to experience this process. And I am so very grateful every day to where I am right now. I'm very grateful. And it wasn't easy. If anyone's, 3-5, 3-5 life is not an easy life, especially as a right-minded male projector, as we were talking about earlier. It's not easy, but it becomes easier. So if you want an easier or a more aligned life, human design is definitely one way to do it.
Beautiful. Thank you again with these beautiful messages, even after 19 years of trust and surrender and watching and allowing the grand choreography to have our way with us, have its way with us, and just enjoy the ride, to be able to just surrender and trust. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. And I love how the divine light of something is shining upon you.
Well, I do readings and stuff, and this is the first time I've had this time it had this light. So I find that ironic and funny. So I don't know. I always get the details like that and see those things. And so I was like, oh, really?
I love it.
It's funny.
Love it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Mark, so great to see you and hear your words of wisdom. Thank you so much for bringing us into this idea of presence without effort, presence without expectations, releasing the need for certainty. You were speaking so many universal messages that is going on in the world right now and offering your experience through the human design system of how you were able to let those things go and be you, to be the passenger, to be the witness, whatever comes, and still hearing that theme of trust we've all been hearing from everyone today.
Yeah.
So just wonderful to be with you, Mark. Thank you so much for your
share. One last thing, since we're in the film thing here.
Yeah.
This is a way to actually live your own movie, not caught up in everybody else's.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You want to live your movie? This is how you can live your movie, your real movie. And then you can watch your movie from a seat and popcorn and all your favorite food. That's what this is about. Live your movie.
Live your movie.
Love it. Love it, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. So if anybody out there is really excited about supporting this Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, there are rewards, there are perks, there are all kinds of things that you will receive and have availability to. I believe it's 4%.me. Go there, and that is where you will find the information on this crowdfunding campaign. So thank you again, Mark. And now we will have Janica. Janica.
Hello.
Hello, Janica. Good to see
Hi,
you.
beautiful souls. How are you?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, so here supporting this campaign. I know that you could speak directly from your heart about where human design has brought you, where this understanding of your body's biological mechanics in the field has allowed you to just let go of the wheel and really get into the fun of the feeling of life.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you if you felt to share about what that process, what that spaciousness feels like, what one could encounter when embodying the truth of who they are and surrendering to their movement.
That gives me goosebumps. Uh, grace, love, empowerment, trust. Really. So I'm a 6'3" generator, splenic generator, and this is important, that piece. I have the channel of exploration and I have the channel of power defining my sacral. And the difference between the two, when my sacral responds, is huge. One really brings commitment and conviction, you know, and I stick with it. The other, that channel of power, that 5734, gets me into lots of experiences for my 6'3" life. And what I love, I've been in design, and this week, 8 years. And I really recognized that even though I couldn't hear a sacral voice, I knew what that response was, because my whole life it was this experience of if that if that when that 1034 kicked off, there was no moving me away from where that decision was going. My body was taking me. There was conviction. And sometimes I steamrolled people. Sometimes I had to shift out of projects. Sometimes it changed whole relationships. But my body, my being was like, no, we're going this direction. This is our conviction. And so, to the grace, the beautiful grace that comes with knowing that I am trusting my authority, I am trusting the direction I'm to go in, and then to have the innocence of the motivation and as a 6'3" to just be in it and to be in that space and to trust in that and surrender to that. I get to live every day as a kid. I mean, seriously, it's a joyful life, allowing being me, and to share that with others, Ava and I have 7 kids together. So to talk to them about their designs, to give them that grace and that knowing that, hey, this is the way you are, but your brother's not like that. Give him his space, or vice versa, or whatever, right? I think the space that human design gives us is when we allow it, when we allow ourselves to give ourselves the grace to be and let go of that conditioning, and just to embody the love of, for me, the love of the response, and knowing, oh, this is going to be something good. This could be really juicy. Or like yesterday, holy FUCK. It was a crazy life that my sacral got me into. Or my response got me into. We're in Cancun, so I'm out in the waves with Bombaji. Those of you know her. We're playing, and I see a turtle, so I start following it. Like I'm like, fuck yes, let's go get the turtle. So I follow the turtle right into a riptide. And I've been in them before, so I know what to do. So I get out, and I'm like, well, that was a response. That was definitely a yes to go in there. I'm fine now. And oh my gosh, right? Okay, here's 6'3" life. Get out. We're walking around and we get back in. And next thing we're like playing. And then I'm like 20 feet away from her. And then I'm like 40 feet away from her. I'm 50. And I keep getting pulled way, way out into an undercurrent, like not a riptide. And there was no moving me out of this current. I was not going anywhere. And so I got rescued yesterday at like 70 to 100 feet out in this
Um,
current. Yes.
that's not a 6'3" life.
I mean, these are my days. And at the end of it, we get out and we're walking and everything's fine. I just, have a sore throat from lots of salt water, but it was fine. And then there's a water spout that we see. And I'm like, this is like this is life. This is the beauty of the experience, and just surrendering to it and being like, okay, each of these moments are for enjoyment. What else is there? Just to live in the excitement and the enjoyment.
Yeah.
And and yesterday was nothing compared to some of my days.
Yeah.
Some of my days are very, very crazy. So, yeah,
I
it's
love
good.
like that following our body's wisdom doesn't always mean we're tiptoeing through the tulips forever, because that's a boring story. Like, we're here to tell a story about what it's like to be a 6'3"
Oh, oh. And they're in Cabo and their internet.
mechanics within. And so the still watching it and surrendering to it is valuable.
Yes. And Brandy, Richard, you guys keep internet issues.
All right.
Are you back?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, so what I was just saying, I was thanking you for bringing to light that just because we follow our bodies into the places and spaces that are for us doesn't always mean that it looks like whatever our perfect idea would be. That we're not tiptoeing through the tulips. We're actually flying by the seat of our pants, writing the coolest story we can, following the wisdom of our body into the moments that are for our mechanics. So I love that you brought that to the table. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's an adventure.
Yeah, what a profile of vast experience in your life, Janica. And what I'm loving about that part about following the body is it's so simple, right? When we first made human design, there's so much information available online. You could just start reading your brains out. But at the end of the day, the message is there. Follow your body and be present to what's there, and to be engaged and yet surrendered in the same moment. Very empowering.
Cool message. Thank you.
Thank you, Janica. Great to see you.
Yes. Okay, goodness. So we hear a theme here, and this theme of embodiment being that we feel a deeper sense of trust, a deeper sense of spaciousness, that this tool, human design, that we have all been practicing and experimenting with, and taking from knowledge in the mind into lived experience, we've recognized that we've got everything we need. And that we've never messed this up, and that we just get to watch it and laugh and have a beautiful time in response and waiting and urges. And so thank you. I just wanted to recap the beautiful conversations we've been having. Hunt, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you again. Thanks for being here to support this project, this campaign. I'd love to, you've been hearing all of the shares from everybody around, and I'd love to hear your experience in this embodiment, in following your body's wisdom into the places and spaces that were for you. What could you tell somebody that is something that would have them cross the threshold from one thing into human design?
Well, maybe one of the things that could be shared is, given what's happening in the world today, is that some of the stuff that I've heard today or that I hear in human design is it exemplifies sort of what can be beautiful about entering somebody's own experiment. And what I've seen is that living out your strategy and authority doesn't even matter if you trust it or not. That the mechanism is self-evident, and you don't need to trust it. That it will take over. And in it taking over, no matter how bad something is, that in the experience of however bad that is that somewhere inside of that you can still be at a minimum okay. Even if you're super fucked, inside that, there's still something that can be okay. That having to experience life through the physical form, through a body, that your body can be fucked. It can be really not okay. But that by following your strategy and authority, your frequency, and I don't mean that in some woo-woo way, right? On an atomic level, we're literally a frequency. That the way that that moves through totality is that it can be stable enough so that if your body's going through something intense, inside that it can still be a place to rest, if I can put it that way. That it offers a way to truly find out what it means to not believe your mind, you know, to not listen to it. You know, I've heard in this a few times that people talk about, you know, don't listen to your mind for a decision. When in reality, it's don't listen to your mind for anything, for you. Like, I don't believe what my mind tells me about anything about my life. Anything. Why I have an aha, why I didn't have a sound, why it's taking so long, why I'm here, you know, it's just not required. And so to be able to go through life not worrying about whether or not I trust something, just knowing that something actually, it's the only thing that seems to work. And to see and experience that no matter what this thing says, no matter what this wants to say about me or my life, that it doesn't matter. That it can yap, it can say this, it can say that, but to experience that there's this distance between it speaking and what's resting in here. That to live that, that's like in these, you know, these fantastical movies we see where we see the character is walking through a chaotic scene and somehow everything is blowing up around them and shrapnel is flying and bullets are zinging, and yet there's this stillness that walks through that, and there's this ability to bring the audience into a place of ease because of where their character is, even though there's all this chaos. And so this process of strategy and authority, what I've witnessed is it's done that for my own experience. And that's what moves through life. And what I find is when I meet others, there's still always this surprise when people really like my partner and I, who's a 6-3 manifester, we'll be somewhere and we get this reflection of just like, we really like the way you guys, we like your energy. We like, you know, whatever the modern words are, basically saying there's something about you that we really like being around. And it's always surprising because I'm just being whatever this is. But then recognizing in that feedback that these people are not used to that. They're not used to something that is restful in itself. And so this awareness is being brought around human design, whether through Sellen's film, this documentary, or any of the teachers that are here that belong wherever they are in the world and have the fractals that belong to them. That for whoever's listening to this, if you're lucky enough that what I'm describing, if it could happen to you, well, I can't imagine moving through life not like this now. And for anybody who's listening to this, and if there's that one important thing, if you could say anything, it sort of reiterates to Pavaka's message from before, which is, and I've noticed this, I've noticed that when I'm with people who, you know, human design is not, it's not coming for them. It's not happening for them, or it's not happening for them yet, or they find it interesting, but it's just not there. Is if there's one piece to be taken away, and once again, this goes to the people who are even in their design, because I still see this happening. It really is to just never believe the mind. You know, this tool that Mary Ann Winiger came up with, you know, which is my mind tells me, my mind tells me, my mind tells me. If you can hold on to one thing in this whole talk of whatever is shared, or if this idea of what strategy and authority is still confusing, or you're going to find out what it is and talk to a teacher or an analyst or whatever. But between now and then, if there's one thing to hold on to, it would be my mind tells me, to use my mind tells me in front of whatever your mind is telling you. And for most people, we don't care what's happening in the world when we're good, when we're happy, when life is great. You know, we don't care. But when life is really shitty or stressful, or if somebody's broken up with us, or, you know, we're going through a financial stressful event, to try and use that, my mind tells me this is happening right now. My mind tells me this, my mind tells me that. And to write that out, just about everybody that I've ever worked with, that when I've used that tool, even if there's somebody that is not entering into their experiment, not into their design, that this always brings relief to them. That it creates that space between this thing being so loud and something else, which for me is just the recognition of there's something else other than their mind taking place. And that little gap allows them to rest even for a moment and get some relief from that tension causing process. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, bravo. That was beautiful. Very well shared, this understanding that the pure frequency becomes the strongest metronome in the room. Sharing that the patterns, the momentum of our mind is the thing that keeps us from seeing the peace within the chaos. Being that strongest metronome. And I love Marianne, and this tool has helped me along the way as well. My mind is saying that this is such a beautiful tool for anybody. You know, as we all know here, that human design is the raft and not the shore. And there's many rafts to get to this understanding of your own inner pure frequency. And I love how you shared that. I think that it was wise and brilliant. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hunt. Really appreciate hearing your frequency.
Right.
Beautiful and impactful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And that was just such a beautiful tool. Everybody, I think we're all going to go home tonight, and when our mind starts rolling, we're going to say, my mind is saying that. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for being here, Hunt.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful Ben. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Mhm,
You have been on quite a few adventures lately following your body.
mhm, mhm,
Uh, you were one of the first people at the very beginning of my experiment. I think maybe we were together or in the coming into it. And I remember
mhm,
watching you so bravely follow your body, no matter what, follow these
mhm,
responses all over this globe. Uh,
mhm.
and so I'd love for you to share with the people who are watching and interested in this crowdfunding campaign. Uh, what is it like to be beautiful all of the time? For those of you who don't know, this is one of his sayings. This is one of the things that I think maybe regulated you in your system is this we are beautiful all the time idea.
Mhm, mhm.
So I wonder if you have a response to any of that I've said.
You know,
Do
I
you want
have
to
a
say something, Ben?
no.
Can you say something?
Yeah. Mhm,
Thanks, hon.
mhm. Um, well, maybe we can start with that. You know, it's I mean, like Hans said, you know, he spoke about frequency and maybe right now what is coming for me and what I can share, it's, you know, the frequency of my body, the frequency of his consciousness that is here. And and I really love what Mark said, you know, about living our truth, or, you know, speaking about our truth, or being in our truth. I mean, I'm a 6-2 generator and I have a completely total open throat. So most of the time it's gonna be difficult for me to articulate anything if there is no energy behind. You know, if my sacral is not really backing me up with energy, then it's really hard for me to find words. And also if there is no space for me to talk at my own pace, you know, because it's gonna be this pressure on my throat, and then people just get my mind, you know, because my mind gonna have so much to say with this open throat, and then I'm losing it, you know, then I'm losing it into a frequency that has nothing to do with me, you know, and then I don't live me anymore. And then I'm just lost in the homogenized worlds, you know, in whatever it is, and it's all okay. It's all okay. Like Mark said, you know, I really loved it what he said. You know, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. So I think to maybe emphasize, you know, what has been shared here, is the frequency that I have the chance to live today, you know, and to really emphasize what Han said, my mind say, you know, because, you know, Han has been the last couple of years someone that really helping me as well to kind of put things together with the mind, you know, and using my mindset, and that has been allowing me to go into this frequency that I always knew was here, and I always knew that was me. Because of course, when I left alone, when there's no one around me, when, I'm in nature, or when I'm drinking tea, or when, and there's no one around me, yeah, I'm like, oh, beautiful. It's beautiful because it's me. It's my own frequency. There's nothing that is disturbing these open throats, and I feel it in my body. There's nothing that is cranking up. So, I have this. And discovering human design, that was something very relevant for me to realize, wait a second, every time, Ben, you crank up, you talk, you initiate conversation, or all this thing on my throat, this pressure, that will be about doing, about manifesting, about just doing. It's not me. It's a different frequency, and then I don't get the chance to live my truth. So for me, that has been one of the most important things to realize, is that my frequency, what I always knew was true, is that I'm very quiet. I'm actually extremely shy. I'm very introvert. And I thought that I was this guy always going out and so extroverty and beautiful all the time, and all of that. And then I realized, whoa, let me go back in my tea room and being alone and drink tea and and not talking and say, I mean, so much can be here in silence. Mark talked about seeing. But for me, it's hearing, really, my experience, because, I love to have my eyes closed. And for me, it's going to be hearing a frequency. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear. I'm going to hear the body vibrating. I mean, I'm a musician today. I play music, I serve tea, I'm a DJ, and I make music. And for me, we all sound engineer, somehow. Like Hans say, and on an atomic level, we vibration, we frequency. So we all have a specific music. Our bodies is we just sound engineer. We're walking around with a specific tune, and again, like Mark said, the problem is like no one is living their own music. They are all walking around with a different vibration, and then we don't get the chance to hear what really is them. And it's okay, but that's why we have so much chaos and cacophony in the world, and it's disturbing. Anyway, so if I summarize everything, for me, that was it. That was this free with my open throat, and to just be quiet, because it's happening anyway. I don't have to do anything. It's just happening, So I just go have tea.
I think there is something very exquisite about coming home to ourselves through this experiment and really getting the sense of who we are at that raw atomic level. Then coming out into the world and our tunes coming together, because then we can really sense and feel the frequencies of the others in our body. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that to the table, that coming back to our own root essence is such a powerful step in the process to being able to experience the world as yourself.
Yeah, of course. It's it's like you say, it's really experiencing the world as ourselves, and even without human design, I think this is a universal law. It's our birthright to just be who we are, to just be what we are. There's not much to do here. It's just it's just happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
Mhm.
Uh-huh,
Thank, thank you for your role modelness.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to invite Janica on for just a moment to talk a little bit about this crowdfunding campaign and to share with you how you can really help crowdfund this documentary.
Yes. Okay, everyone. This is really, really super duper, like use all of the words, adjectives you can imagine. This is important. If we do not hit 35,000 euros by the end of our campaign, which is in, I think, 17, 18 days, all of the money is returned and we do not receive any of it that has been contributed so far. So we're currently somewhere around the 13,000, I don't know the exact number, 13,000 euro range. So we have a bit to go and we can do it.
We can.
We can, and we require your support. Please share this campaign with people. It's on Kickstarter. It's easy to contribute to. There are a lot of beautiful rewards and perks, and we need to keep the momentum going. Celine has put her heart and soul into this. It's a great piece of work that supports all of us in the human design community. The more information that is out there and the more awareness that is out there about human design, the more people will know and look for analysts who are offering their services or teachers or the most important part, learn about themselves and have that grace and ease in being and embodying themselves. So go to the Kickstarter campaign. You can sign up and we're at 13,430 euros. So we're not quite halfway there, but we can get there really easy.
And thank you to everyone who has donated so far, and we can get there.
Yes.
17 days to go.
17 days to go. So please share with your audiences. Anyone else? Promote it. Contribute yourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janica.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next on our roster is the beautiful Katie Swim. Hello, my dear. Welcome.
Hi, Katie.
So good to see you both.
Oh, so nice to see you as well. And I'm really glad you came to support this beautiful documentary. We got to spend some time together, and you are deep in the experiment. You are with your notebooks and your notepads, and you have explored other modalities of understanding. There's that whisper inside of you that is just saying, please remember me, please remember me. And so found human design now, and I wonder if you can share with us about the embodiment of this human design as opposed to maybe where you have been before and how design has really brought you home to yourself. I wonder.
Well, I love your words always, so I have to start with that. What a beautiful opening and a beautiful question. And I think you said it exactly right I am inner vision. So one of the things I'm learning for myself, right, is allowing myself to have a soft gaze and also to close my eyes. And even that little bit is something I'm like, oh, I can bring it into every day. So when reflecting on your question, it did bring me home to myself, where with the other tools, I was still outsourcing. Right. And I have an open G. So for those who don't know, my not self gets lost in who am I? Where am I going? Where can I find love, direction? And that felt really heavy. And also including that open ego center. So what's my self-worth? And I find these other modalities. I was always a super intuitive child. And I started to almost create my identity quite through astrology. So it said my sun sign is this, I'm going to act like that, I'm going to bring my moon. And it still felt off, right? There was a frequency that was true to it, but it was kind of like you're out and about, you feel shiny, and you go home and it's like, ooh, it just doesn't feel right. I don't feel totally in integrity to myself. I don't feel totally honest as much as I'm trying to be. So I found human design. I'm a 2-5 mental projector, just that 6124, totally unconscious. So it goes to say I've been whiplashed by the universe at times. And this brought me a sense of self-compassion and also forgiveness for all versions of self, right? Really seeing how each version of me was just trying to be safe, trying to be seen, trying to be loved, and also trying to make it in a world where my natural design doesn't maybe fit the stereotype of the rules we've all been told. And I think that's a shared experience in whatever language we put it, right? We all have these different external labels and conditioning, and how we've bumped up against it might be different, right? So no one kind of escaped the old game in a way, is how I like to say. We all have our bumps, and human design helps bring a compassion and a grace to where did we run up against. And coming home, I would also say it brought me back into my body, right? It can be very easy in today's society to tap out of your body in a total different modalities, right? However, substance, it can just be escapism. And this really drilled home the importance of being in your body. I'm still learning it every second, every day. That would be the main thing I take away from it, is being as present as you can be. Even today, I wish I could show up knowing exactly what I'm going to say. It would bring me a much more calmer nervous system. I'm sure my old self would say that. But I'm 3-part right. Mental projector. I can't tell. And I am new. I'm only 4 years into this. So there's been a lot of letting go, right? And letting things disappear and being present with that one that wants to fight it, right? I want to keep this job. I want to keep this friendship. I want to keep this location, and just offering grace of letting things go away and being in that void almost of that space in between of it's gone, but maybe the new hasn't arrived, and really allowing yourself to settle into that space. And then the fun part of it is that you do see that new things come in. And that's where I think you do start to learn that trust, or see, oh, this mechanism does work, because how else would these new things that feel so much easier, so much more in flow, and so much more aligned come in my life?
Oh, how brilliant. That was wonderful. I love
You never know what's going to come out.
Hey, there it is. Now you know. I love how you brought attention to how you are never not yourself, how you've never not been yourself, and you're just coming home to her. You are just allowing space for all that is to exist, being in that void place. And I could hear your mental projector, beautiful, pulse on, pulse off, sitting in the void, waiting for it to come back. It was just a really beautiful example of your frequency in form sharing itself. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. So great to hear your voice. Such a empowering voice of self-recognition, self-validation. One of the beautiful benefits of this tool we could hear loud and clear.
Yeah.
People in human design too. That's also been such a gift, right? To have role models truly, and friends, and really just a different group of people all holding space. They're learning about themselves and also giving you grace as well to learn about yourself, like you too. I'm very, very grateful for that. It is a community.
It is. Certainly it is. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting this crowdfunding campaign. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Just looking here. So let's see, who is next? Oh, Casey. Hi.
Hello, Casey.
Thank you, Jess, for putting it.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Can y'all hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. Glad to see you again.
Yes. Glad to see you guys too. Thank you for inviting me here.
Well, we really appreciate you being here, supporting this crowdfunding campaign, and sharing with us. I mean, you have been sharing a lot online and in social media about what this deconditioning journey has been like for you in years. So I love that you bring that voice here into this circle today. And so if there were something that you could share to help raise the awareness and funds for this documentary through your understanding and traveling through human design, what would that be?
Well, thank you guys. Y'all are both been my teachers and role models at some point. Everyone here, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I'm only halfway through my deconditioning for 7 years journey. And I just passed my cellular shift. And so what can I say? I mean, I feel like, yeah, I've come more into myself, allowing my voice, getting used to hearing my own voice. You know, my incarnation cross is connected to my throat and channel. And so there's been a lot of conditioning around that for myself. And through this deconditioning process, yeah, like seeing who I am, finding out what is this person pretty much has been a really interesting journey. I had a download, I guess you could say, of this leaf was talking to me. And it told me its story about how it was on this tree and it was like all the other leaves, and it was part of the cycle and it was enjoying its part in the cycle, and then it fell, and the falling was the most exciting part of its life. It didn't know what was going to happen, and then when it fell, you know, it started dying, but in the dying, the colors started coming out, and the interesting fractals and the uniqueness of itself. And as it just laid there, it was giving life to everything that touched it. And it didn't have to do anything. It just allowed itself to be part of the ecosystem. And so I feel like that leaf in many ways. Like, you know, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I've come like really far in how I understand just my God spark in general and how it's connecting my aura, my soul container as it moves through the world, and I watch my body. Like, it's the weirdest thing to get the witness perspective. It's such a strange feeling to like, and whenever people are new into the system and they're talking to me, they're like, I was watching my mind. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, yeah, it's really weird at first to watch your mind. And then what I've been doing lately is this quote from Albert Einstein has been speaking to me and reminding me. He said, the most important thing that any human will have to decide is, are we in a hostile universe or a friendly universe? And it's like when you're watching everything with your mind, right? You're not self, but you're also self-reflected consciousness. And that's what's watching itself. And so whenever I see my mind getting in all these stories, and I'm like, wow, these are really interesting stories. And let's pretend all that is true. I am the smartest person. I have figured it all out. And I am so smart about all of these stories. And then also, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to intend when I wake up that I'm in a friendly universe. And somehow that little mechanism, that switch, and I'm back in the flow the next day. So there's such a beautiful thing about sleep and, you know, working with your self-reflected consciousness to get back into that flow state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. You know, again, back to we're all going to the same place, that this human design is a raft, not the shore. And so I heard in your language a lot of the other modalities that you've also traveled that have come here to this place, that have brought you to the same awareness, the same surrendering, the same coming home to the frequency that inhabits your body and allowing it to speak through you. And then watching its connection to the stories that it's telling and the tapestry that it's weaving for us as a collective. So thank you for bringing that to the table.
Yeah, so great to hear your words, Casey. Being in the flow effortlessly, It's just such a beautiful space to be in. I really appreciate hearing your experience.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. All right. Thank you. Gosh, and thanks everyone for being here in this moment with us. And thank you for participating in the crowdfunding campaign, in going to 4%.me and taking a look at all of the rewards and opportunities that you have to empower this documentary. It's obvious that we love this work that is here, that Ra Uru Hu and the teachers and experimenters before us have laid down for us, and to remember that there are experimenters that are coming in now after us. And so this is such a beautiful, unified opportunity for us to come together and say, look, global fam, look at what we've got. Look at what we've done from the first line to the second line to now the third line. Now they're going to go experiment with it in a different way than we have. And so supporting this crowdfunding campaign is really going to uplift human design and this getting to remember our souls. You know, I giggle a little bit because sometimes I feel like my design was here when I watch it to get everybody to remember themselves so that life could be easier for me. And so maybe some of you think this way too, because life does become a lot easier when everybody is within their own frequency expression. And not that anybody is bad, wrong, or shameful for not, because not all of us are meant to awaken to the truth of our energy in form. But isn't it fun when we do? And so help support this campaign and the expansion of this to the 4% that are listening, to the people who are designed to hear our voices. Thanks for being here for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that, Brandy.
All right, Miss Monique. Where's Miss Mahiami? There she is.
Hello, Monique. Hello.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can.
I'm driving, so sorry about that, but I'm with my little one. We've been like on a spring break marathon doing all kinds of things, and we're finally making our way back home. So this call just synced up with that, and I figured, you know what, I think I'll be okay because it's a straight shot on 95, and here we are. So it's awesome to be here and in this group. I love this group of humans. There's so many humans in this room that I really, really love. So I'm really grateful and happy to be here with you.
Well, we are so glad you are here, and you are quite a powerhouse of a network builder, quite a empowerer of the heartstrings. So tell us, my dear, what do the people that are listening get to know about remembering themselves through this human design experiment? What is something that you could give them in exchange for participation in this campaign and their financial support? What feels like a good little thing you can tell them?
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So for me, you know, there's been a lot of common themes of what has already been shared here from some of the other people who have spoken. You know, I almost immediately came back to self when I first found human design. It was like this, almost like something clicked in me, and it's just been so much of that. And I didn't even realize how far I'd, you know, gone from self until this system found me. I immediately accepted myself more, immediately loved myself more, immediately liked myself more, and liked who I felt like I naturally wanted to express. Like, I mean, immediately I had a lot of these things, and yes, there's been so many undoings and letting goes along the way, which is confusing and can be challenging maybe, but there's so much reward in it. For me, there's been so much reward in this coming back to self. And in two part, I have a daughter who's 10, and her being a projector as well. I'm a 1/4 splenic projector for anybody that is interested, and Mia, my daughter, is a 2/5 ego projector. And when I first found human design, she was about 4 or 5-ish. She's 10 now. So I've been experimenting with the parenting with design piece as heavily as I can, really. And she's super into it too. And her getting to support herself, me giving her energetic support in this way and showing her how to support herself in ways that feel really natural and easy for her. Like, she can have a human design conversation, and it's not because she's studied everything, right? Like, she just gets it because she is who she is and closer to that center. And so for me, in twofold, I think you said this at the beginning, Brandy, it's like a owner's manual for our kids. And like, I remember being a new mom and they were like, yeah, there's no manual. And I'm like, but there is. Like, no, there is a manual, you guys. There's an energetic manual. Why didn't anybody tell me that right away? You know, so yeah, for me, my passions revolve around that. I think this system is a powerful, powerful, powerful tool for parenting and for coming back to self. And for those two reasons, man, that's just like, I don't know, that could change the whole world. I feel like if everybody came back to self and then raised little ones in that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Ross said. This is for the children, and we see that, we jokingly, those who are designed follow their bodies into the spaces where we're helping adults decondition. I remember Ra talking about in that generator video that somebody's going to come around and do it, but it's not his job. Right now, it's his job to make sure that the children have this information. And so thank you for being one of those brave mothers that is confronting herself in order to respect her children. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's something else that human design also gives is that surrender, strength. I mean, I love the way Hunt said that it's not a trust, it's just a being, but and sometimes in that process, the mind trusting in something has you, especially as a mom, that something is there to help guide you is something that's really special about the human design system.
Yeah, and I will just add one more thing. This communion of humans that I've gotten to this communing over our differentiation is like the coolest thing ever. And that's what happens in so many of these spaces that I get to be a part of. Like, I don't know what's cooler than this. So yeah, thank you, Selene. Thank you for everyone that's been involved in the support of this, because it only grows the ability for that to be there, for us to have. I think it's great.
Thank you, Monique.
Yeah,
so great to have you here, Monique. You are such a love bug, bringing your enthusiasm and energy all the time. Great to see you. Great to have you here.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, love. Oh, thank you, everybody. We do have another special guest here, Jonah Dempsey, to come and share with us. Thank you, Jonah, for being here. And thank you for being the most gracious host of the very first live that we had supporting this fundraiser and this crowdfunding campaign. What would you bring to the people, to the space in this moment that can help us really bring home the value of this documentary, being out into the collective, being able to be heard by the strands of fractal that are designed to hear it and come a-running?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of, I've really enjoyed this. I've listened to this whole, it's so great to hear everyone's perspectives. And it seems like there's kind of two fundamental questions. What is the value of the documentary right now? Why is it important to support this documentary at this time in history? And then in bringing human design to people, sort of for those just coming into human design, what are some of the things that they might notice or experience from the human design system? And yeah, I guess to the first question, it's just such a cool thing to see things build up. I've seen this in my own life as well, and this is something that Ra will often say, is that when you are living your design, you get this momentum effect of your incarnation cross, where you essentially have this geometry of purpose, this purpose that's encoded into your life. But it's kind of like the acorn of a tree, where you have to see it grow. You don't know what kind of, you can't just look at the acorn and see the whole thing. So for me personally, experimenting with human design, I've seen my life go in some very different directions, moving to different places, being in different kinds of relationships. And then at a certain point, building up a certain amount of momentum that was different than any other momentum in my life before, because I was a very busy person. I think a lot of people are busy, but it's like an inertia busy. It's a stagnant busy. It's a busy not actually moving in a direction and not actually dealing with the surprise of getting to meet all of these people and places and things and projects that it's really been incredible for me, just seeing my own personal momentum over the last years take me into so many different places, but then witnessing the same thing, seeing this film gain so much momentum, and seeing Selene and her work and her sticking with it, and just kind of, it's very, to me, it's seeing that this film has grown bigger than anyone. Of course, Selene is the central figure of the whole thing, pushing it forward, driving it, but it really has taken on a cultural moment. And so I think the answer for why the film is so important right now is that this is just a really singular thing. I mean, I have no doubt in the future there will be more films on human design, but this is the first of this size and the first of this format and the first bringing together these people in such an incredible way. So it really is a singular thing, and I'm just doing everything I can to get the support for the film, because yeah, we need this film to get made, and we are still a fledgling science. I mean, those of us in human design who teach human design, who study human design, it is a pretty small group. So it is kind of a question of, is our group, what can our group do coming together? But I've already just been so impressed seeing people come together, seeing people show their support. So my answer to why the film is really important is that it actually is this really incredible moment in history where it's a singular thing that is really happening now, bringing together so many people. It's a historical moment. I mean, don't you want to have been involved in a historical moment? I know I do. So that's the question. And then as far as the second, I mean, I love hearing all these descriptions of human design, what it's given to people, how it's helped people. I do think people come into human design from all different life experiences, and there are certain things we can say that it will help everyone. Like maybe it'll help everyone meet less resistance. That's something Ra like to say. If you're meeting a lot of resistance in life, things are pushing back and you're just feeling sort of worn down, maybe bring more vitality in certain ways, or different kinds of vitality. You can seem really vital and busy, but then get to a sense of calm that actually has a deeper kind of vitality. But at the same time, it's going to be so unique to each person. And I think even just hearing the different perspectives in this talk is a great example of that. Each of us has essentially something encoded within us, like our life purpose, our profile, our incarnation cross. It's really up to us to discover that, and there's no guarantee that will happen. It's really just, we each have a chance in this life to really wake up to the mechanics of our design. And I think that's a lot of what Ra tried to do in his teaching, and what a lot of us as teachers are really trying to do, is give people information that somehow changes their awareness so that they're no longer striving to have absolute control over the life with the mind. And part of that even is this kind of confusing doctrine of no choice, where it's like you're waking people up to the realization that they actually aren't in control anyway, so they might as well surrender and allow things to happen. But it's also, at least in my case, not fatalistic, because a lot of times what I surrender to is that I actually have energy for something that I might not have realized I have energy for. And now I have to do a lot of work. I'm a generator, so I'm surrendering actually to working. It's not just like, I mean, I totally get, I mean, everyone has a different version of this. So for some people, it's going to be that they've been working too hard. Others are not working enough. Others, most of the generators I meet are not actually engaged. And even if they're complaining of fatigue and exhaustion in life, it's actually because they're forcing themselves somehow through this mental control mechanism to do things that they're not actually available for and they're not actually responding for. And to be frank, it's quite terrifying to sort of really trust your energy to make decisions. It is a terrifying thing because there are a lot of questions that come up, and I liked hearing from others saying that we need to remember that it's the mind is telling me this story. I mean, that's a great practice. But yeah, I think, what I would say about human design is that everyone is going to have a different trajectory, even of getting into it, because they're coming into it from a different place in their life. I've known people who've come into human design very late in life. I mean, I have introduced it to people in their 60s and 70s, and you might say, well, if it's for the children, what is it going to have any value for them? Yeah, it absolutely can. If somebody is drawn to it, and if they have sort of found it in a way, and I think even the way that we transmit human design is such a little microcosm of mechanics that as a generator myself, when I first found out about human design, I was not living as a generator because I'd lived my whole life trying to make everything happen. So I wanted to tell everyone about it. Now I don't tell anyone about it. I mean, I'm waiting to respond. And if somebody, and sometimes they're like, would you tell me? I'm like, no, I just can't. I have to have availability and energy. But just the fact that we all come into human design from our own life story, from our own upbringing, and then having such a variety of ways that we can be configured. I actually had the thought that everyone's deconditioning journey, the journey from when they meet human design and begin the deconditioning, is itself going to be hinted at in their incarnation cross and in their life purpose, because it's part of their story of how they got to their life purpose. So I'm a cross of healing. I had a completely different deconditioning journey than someone on a different cross. And my journey had a lot to do with health and healing and the things that go into healing, like patience and stillness and integrity and I don't know, all the healing stuff. But it's kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, we can generalize to a degree. We can say human design will help in these certain general ways. But the coolest thing is that you get to find out if really there is something that your life was designed for, that you've incarnated to do, that you just weren't aware of. And I think this is a really profound thing to realize that, before Ra was taken on his mystical journey, he was an advertising executive and he didn't know he was going to end up having all of these experiences. Each of us gets sort of plucked out of our life and swept away in this magical journey. And it's really a beautiful thing. So I guess my only contribution is that if you're really, if someone's listening to this and they're very new to human design and they're just learning about it and they're interested and they want to go deeper, it really does give you an opportunity to get to know who you are and who you're not, and what you can trust and what you should question. And through that process, it takes you into this flow of life, into some really different places. And luckily, all the people that I've met through the human design community who have also all been sharing their own journeys are really incredible people. So you'll be in good company. It's not like you're going to get swept away and end up with a bunch of people who are, not living as themselves. And I think that that's really the special thing when you get to see so many people that are really sometimes quite contrarian to the normal, quote unquote, normal ways of being. But mostly, actually, it's not even contrarian. It's just that people are actually authentically checking with themselves first. And I think we're just so accustomed as humans in a social world with so many social pressures that, oh, I paid you for this job, you show up at this time, you do this work, I tell you what to do. I mean, all of these kind of mechanisms that we have, and to actually be checking with yourself and seeing what you're available for, and really trusting that you have an inner guidance system, which doesn't mean that others can't help us as well. I mean, I think there's a great benefit to having others. I mean, we call projectors guides because I know, speaking as a generator, I've been helped, but the projector can only ever really bring me to myself. They can help me. If I'm off in the weeds, they can ask me some questions and get me kind of back in touch with what I have availability for. So that's really the magic of it, is that we're here to discover what we have energy for and then use that energy. And it's actually very rewarding. As a generator, I get tremendous satisfaction. And a lot of times, what I have energy for is not something that I would expect at all. It's something that I kind of become aware of. Like, I was doing a lot of yard work today, and I used to kind of go, oh, what a drag, yard work. Well, now, because I'm doing it when I have energy for it and I'm doing it from a place, it's one of my favorite things. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I love it. So being surprised at what actually is satisfying to me, where because I was so preoccupied with the way my life should look, before I would have been like, I don't want to do yard work, but it's actually really satisfying, you know. And then I'm asking myself why I'm frustrated. So that was that, you know, for me, the biggest change has been going from being very frustrated, meeting a lot of resistance all the time, to just sort of allowing timing to happen on its own and being ready to receive the timing when life calls on me, and then getting a lot of satisfaction out of that. So it is very, yeah, I do feel very much, you know, I have a much higher quality of life. I mean, I just because I'm doing things that are really satisfying to me. And I didn't used to know what was satisfying to me either. No one told me the things you think are satisfying might not be satisfying. You know, I just kind of assumed like, oh, like making a lot of money is really satisfying. Well, not really. I mean, going on vacation, that's a really satisfying thing, right? Well, no, if my sacral energy is all wrapped up in something else, I'm just going to be thinking about it the whole time on vacation anyway. So, yeah, so I mean that for me personally, my journey has been the journey of the generator, which is the journey of basically the most yin you can be, full submission to life and full receptivity to what life brings, and just doing what I can to be ready. So when the timing does come, I'm there, and I haven't already committed my energy to something else. You know, I have my energy ready to commit because I've been more selective. I used to commit a lot of energy to things that I really didn't have energy for, but I didn't know I didn't have energy for them. I thought I had energy for them. And so I would just be so committed, and then something would come along that I would have actually really responded to, but I was too busy. And I've heard that a lot from other generators. It's kind of a common theme.
Absolutely. Oh, Jenna, it's so great. Or Jonah, I'm sorry. Freudian slip. Another teacher of mine, as you are. So beautiful to hear your words of wisdom. Great to have you here. I want to also just recognize how much effort and support you have given this documentary already, and we really appreciate that. And hearing you speak, it's just lighting me up inside, this idea of awakening to our individuality, our uniqueness, appreciating that. You're speaking to the sanctity of our life force energy as a generator, right? Really honoring those commitments.
Thank you. Yeah.
Letting things pass by. You know, as generators, we often have that fear of missing out. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then we're not available when the real thing that was meant for us comes around. So you're always contributing these nuggets of wisdom and generosity. Your work at High Desert Human Design Conference every year, where magic happens. It's just an amazing event every year, Jonah. You are tireless in your gifts. So thank you. Thank you for part of this and being here today.
Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you so much, Brandy. This has been such great hosting. I see Selene has commented that they will be bringing in teachers online now.
Yes. And so I wanted to just say thank you to a couple of teachers. Jonah, thank you so much. Thank you. And also say thank you to a couple of teachers who have come on to support us today. Martin, Leela, Nisarg, and Therese. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'd love for you to come on, Therese, if you felt to. Hello. Beautiful. Hi.
Hello. Well, yeah, thank you. I was about to fall asleep, but not because it was not interesting. It's super interesting, but it's late and I'm a projector with no motors.
Yes.
But I'm happy to be here, and yeah, I'll assemble my last energy because it's really so amazing to be part of this whole thing and also listen to everybody here, people in their experiments and all this wisdom already shared here. hopefully really reaching a lot of people who will also support this wonderful movie. And yeah, thank you also, Celine. Just saying, like, come on. I would like to speak. Yeah, that's my takeaway also from everything said here is also to listen to the two of you, a lovely couple. It's so wonderful to see how people are correct with each other, and everyone who has been speaking. Is this really this no mind, this duality of mind that we're all so familiar with and are not even aware of how often it tells us something interprets reality, interprets the so-called reality, what we get with our senses, with our body, with our form, which has a kind of a border here between the outside world and the inside with our organs and our blood, and this really being in flesh, incarnated in this life, built up by the design crystal. And still this mind personality crystal sitting on top of everything, not even fully in the body, and trying to control everything. And how long it has taken me to even be aware that it's still interpreting my world and getting annoyed with people, getting upset, feeling all this unfairness. And of course, there is pain. We heard this today by this interpretation, and also by, of course, physical sensations. But it's how do we interpret that? Yes, of course, there is something that if I get hit or if I have an accident, it's incredible pain. My nerves, my blood vessels burst, or I don't know. But the other side of pain, this mental interpretation of something that doesn't really hurt my body, but just my being, by my mind telling me that's not right, yeah, that's wrong. This is the biggest pain we're all dealing with. And through human design over all these years, it's become so much easier now to step out of that and to laugh. Yeah, so the biggest thing which I also learned from Rahul personally was when I lived in Ibiza. I lived there for 12 years until 2010, to just laugh in the end. Yeah, also what we heard today, that be like the children, because they can laugh it off. They cry like hell. Of course, it hurts. Something hurts. They fall on the ground. Their knees are whatever, bleeding, and they cry, and the next moment they laugh again. And that's also what we can come back to, and that's what human design can teach adults who have unlearned that. Yeah, and I'm also now I'm 60 years old. Yeah, so and I met human design 21 years ago, so I'm not a young person. So I had unlearned a lot of my childish, very open, very this my G authority, I think, also kept it intact for a long time, but still there was so much bitterness, and it was like digging it up again, this golden heart that was recognized also by the human design community, and that I could now, yeah, gain again this connection to my body and to this inner compass that's so full of love and life, and has a different power, not the motorized power of a generator or a manifester, but of yeah, the guiding light, so to speak, the higher self. And thanks to human design, I can live it now, and I feel like yeah, it's ageless. The body ages, but the spirit and everything is like not decaying. Like in so many people, you see the hopelessness if they do not know who they are and what they're here for, and how they can connect to the body and the mind really depressing them. So yeah, so thank you for also, I was not prepared for that. I was just seeing who is on now today. So the so-called, I don't know, not second generation. Some have been in human design for a long time, but just didn't get in physical touch with her. But learned through other means exactly the same message and live themselves. And yeah, beautiful people here, everybody. So thank you, yeah, for just asking me to, inviting me to say something. And I feel this radiance of everybody and the connection. And I really, really hope this wonderful movie gets more support and we can do the next step and it will reach as many people as possible. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a beautiful guiding light for us. Thank you.
Felt like your words were nourishing the garden of our soul right there. Really touching, very moving. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, what a fun pleasure to now introduce Martin Grassinger. Thank you for being here and for supporting us. I, as with a lot of people, have followed your work in the epigenetic truth of human design through our body's wisdom, understanding that when we follow our body's wisdom into the places and spaces that are for us, we actually have the most vital, healthy experience of this body. And so I love your teaching in this area, and you've brought it leaps and bounds from where it was. So thank you for joining us and supporting us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's I just spent 3 weeks in the southern part of France, close to the Spanish border, and was teaching design and health and design. And it's always fascinating to dive into this wonderful system and to see there's always something that can be discovered and the connections and going deeper. And yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you for being here. And if you wanted to share, maybe for people who aren't quite familiar, but do find interest in supporting their health and vitality, their physical, biological health through the following of their body's wisdom, what could you offer to them? What could you share that could help them invest in and be part of the growth of this documentary to be able to understand that their health and vitality is part of this as well? I don't know if that was, if I stumbled on myself there, but what do you think?
Yeah, basically, I always say there's a reason why it's called human design system and not human personality system.
Right.
So it is about, and all these basic sentences from the voice, so that we are consciousness in human form. And so all the problems we have is because we are not honoring the form. And so therefore the voice delivered the information so that we have the capacity or the opportunity to honor the form. And also saying, as the voice was saying, okay, the system is oriented towards the mind, because the eyes are the tools of the mind. So, and therefore I give you a graph. And when you look with your eyes to your graph and you have a deeper understanding, hopefully you give back the authority to the body so that the mind can be free. And therefore to see, okay, everything is in this body graph in all of these different layers, but also to see, okay, what the voice also was saying, so the map is not the territory. So therefore to see, okay, it describes the territory or the body in a sense, but therefore what is a basic part of my work is that the mind likes to put labels on gates. And this is this and this is that. And this is sometimes a little bit irritating. And therefore I just look for, like, the heart is not the heart, this splenic center is not the immune system, all of that stuff. So, and therefore just to see, okay, how is it organized in the body graph so that we can take advantage of the knowledge. And So yeah, that's my work since more than 3 decades in the meantime.
Well, thank you for continuing your mission, even though there's no choice.
Yes.
And thanks for, turning around and letting us see it again, even though there's no choice. We're really grateful you're here, and thank you for supporting this crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that Selen just has the courage and to do this, which is quite something, and it's necessary to the entire world. I'm grateful for this project.
Thank you so much. And we are too. Yeah, I really think Jonah hit it on the head when he said a cultural moment in the human design community. And it really is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I want to offer space for, with no pressure, Leela and Darmen and Nisarg, dear Nisarg, if you have anything to share, we'd love to have you here and see your beautiful face. And thank you for everyone being here, following your body into this space and this place with us here today, to support, to send our intentions, to align our frequencies toward, all of us grabbing our microphones and saying, hey, everybody, this is something. And having the people that are for us hear us, and not being upset when the people who are not for us don't hear us. And that's okay too. But playing our part in standing up and being the representative, if it's right for you, in the places and spaces that you inhabit. So thank you for being here. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for sending your good thoughts and intentions to 4% the documentary. It is, again, 4%.me. And you will be able to see everything that there is to offer there and to ask any questions you have. Dear Selene, I would love to inform that now would be a beautiful time, if you'd like, to share a final thought on the creation of this project and the sharing of your bravery and your heart with us.
Well, it just unfolded by itself. There's a lot of effort in it, of course, in the meantime, but starting it was very easy. It just unfolded. It's incredible to watch that it's happening. Despite the odds, of course, it's going to happen in the 3-5 Manifestor Live. I'm not surprised, but I'm not going to sit in pessimism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's been such a journey. Yeah.
It has been choreographed for you, and you have been following your body each step in this tension. It's a beautiful example. Your cross of tension, 3-5 Manifestor. This is the way that this documentary is coming out, and it's such a beautiful testimony and testament to what is meant to happen is happening. We either become a witness to it or continue to resist it. And you've just been a beautiful example of how to surrender to the movement of the energy in your body and your frequency.
Yeah, it was a no choice situation. I really had no choice.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. And I hope that all of our efforts and time and love and intention today raises money for this Kickstarter campaign to be completely full and maybe even over the top, and start the next leg of this project for all of us.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.